AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
Hey man, DJs out there, you would have enjoyed this weekend very much. Friend's birthday this weekend. We had a really good time out in the mountains. All right, well, so I'm opening up some mail that came in during that time, and I'm going to drink some of my chocolate coffee. See if anybody joins us for the live unopening or unboxing or whatever this is. How much better would YouTube be if you could play music and show guns? Both. I'm just saying. All right, so this is the first one, or should we open up this one? We'll open up this one first. Yes, that's what we'll do. We'll be using a razor blade. This razor blade is made by, what it says, Gem. This is a Gem razor blade we're using. Very sharp. Sing, that's copyrightable. I sing very good, and it always gets confused with Dolly Parton. So, nope, can't do that. Some people could probably sing. I used to sing on the early videos, but that's when I started. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Turn this stupid microphone over from here to... This is probably better also because of stupid YouTube. I blame YouTube for not changing my microphone over for me. Oh, it's this one. I thought it was a different one. So, look what we got here. New Bayonet book. I wasn't even going to buy this book. This has $50 right here. Holy shit. I wasn't going to buy this one because it's not on my radar. And then I seen that there's this on there. On the cover. So I had to buy it. What do you think that one is? Anybody? Anyone? How can you tell exactly what that one is? One, by the what? By the what here? Yep. Lack of a saw right here. And then the color of this. That's how you can tell that that's a Polish. So let's open this up and take a look. This was made in... Don't have any idea yet. This was made at some point in the world. Don't they by law have to have a page where it tells you when it was made and all that? Is that what this page is? Lower left, current issue AKM bayonet from the Soviet bloc. This example is a Polish manufactured version for the Polish-made Kalashnikov PMKM assault rifle. Ooh, it says assault rifle in this book. This example, mint and unissued, was allegedly taken from a captured PLO stocked, seized by the Israelis in Lebanon, 1984. And what's unique about those guns? Go watch the movie, what's the name of that movie? Charlie Wilson's War, and you'll know what those guns are all about. That's interesting. Actually, no, that's not those guns. It probably has something to do with some of that shit, though. Let's see. I can't figure out when this was made. I'm thinking 1984. Oh, no. It says right here. Something or another, 1985. Published by something or other, England. So this is an England book from 1985. I bought it even though it's from Europe. I'm sure the font is some metric font, and it's numbered. It's numbered in metric. Look at that. 9... 22. It's all metric, but whatever. And it's a bunch of stupid bayonets. I'm not into bayonets that much, except for the ones that I've owned and AK bayonets. So we're going to go in here and look. I used to own one of these when I was a kid, and I'd poke stuff with it, and it was probably worth a ton of money now. But I used to go around poking stuff with it. And then I had a bunch of these because I thought they were swords. I could buy them at gun shows all the time. And I ran around with them like swords, and I'd smack trees and stuff with them. So I don't even know which ones I had, but I had a bunch, and I would buy them whenever I had money and whenever I could afford them. I definitely had a couple like this, and Then I kept them in a thing for a while, and now I don't know what happened to them. So I like bayonets. I kind of like those long ones from the olden days, from like the Civil War days. And then, I like the US ones, I guess. But there's a lot of dumb bayonets out there. Mostly the European ones are dumb. Europeans are very easy to knock over, so their bayonets are tiny, like Swiss Army knives. And a lot of times you can just scare a European by having a bayonet, I guess. These are pretty nasty. Then we get finally into these ones that I got sick of seeing at gun shows. Are you sick of looking at this one from gun shows? These were like $5 at gun shows forever. Probably should have bought more than one. I definitely have pretty much all of these, I guess. Not because I collected them, but because they cost nothing at gun shows and I just bought them. There's a Glock knife, which is actually an Austrian commercial bayonet made in 1977 for the Australian STG-58, the FNFAL. But it turned out to be the one for this. I thought it was for the, what do you call that thing? Steyr. Anyway, that looks very much like a Glock knife, right? That's an Austrian bayonet. This is a super expensive one. I finally got one of these for a good deal, and I sold mine to Mike Pappas from, where's he at now? He's at Dead Air Suppressors now. I sold mine to him for, he had a gun for it, but that's a super rare Valmet bayonet. They came with the guns back in the day. They're very nice bayonets. They're like knives. Most bayonets are not like knives. There's another Polish one, looks like shit, and they didn't make them in black that I know of, so that's probably that red one from the cover, but in shitty black and white, it looks like it's a black and white bayonet. Oh, look, I got a couple of AK ones. So they have another example of an SDV bayonet, which is essentially an AK bayonet. And then you got the Type 2. Then you got a Type 1 over here, and the Type 1 is a Russian one. That's fine. And then they got some German dumb thing over there, which is stupid. And then get into other dumb bayonets that predate that one. Well, actually, these are not in chronological order, because some of these are way older, and some of them are newer than the AK bayonets. Bunch of Nazi crap. We used to throw around Nazi bayonets like throwing knives because they were cheap as shit back in the old days. These things are neat because you can turn them into one of the AK, an R4 or something from South Africa. They modified those to make the South African variant of the AK bayonet, which are impossible to get. Anyway, it's a neat book. It only barely talks about AK bayonets, so it would have never been in my thing, except that they usually sell for money, like $50 or something. And this one was cheap. And I'm always combing it for AK bayonets, and I came across this. So it was like a whim, I guess, unneeded buy, but I bought most of the AK bayonet books out there. Polish looks more like a hot dog, maybe. All there in that table. What? All right, I'm not sure what we're saying. So next, this is significantly interesting, I think. Where'd I put that razor blade? Here's that razor blade. I'll have a link to these razor blades if you want to buy them with my link on the thing. Look how sharp these razor blades are. Look how well it works. Look at this tape. You look at this tape and you go, there's no way to cut that tape. I need a chainsaw or some kind of a power tool. No, you can do it with a razor blade if you buy your razor blades from this place on Amazon. And I'll put the link in there. Do the same thing over here. Look, it cut through tape and a label. How crazy is that? And I was just using the corner of the razor blade. All right, I didn't cut nothing. So we'll see how well this is packed. First thing we'll pull out is a 1999 from Hoot Bro. So most people aren't going to remember that because that was a long time ago. And this is obviously a manual from an SVD. And basically 1999, think about what the internet was like. What we were doing is printing PDFs still, putting them in binding. We'll get into more about why I bought that one. It's technically an AK thing, even though it's not technically an AK thing. Technically it is, and technically it isn't. So I got it on the technicality. How am I going to get this bubble wrap open? There's just mechanically, there's no way to get bubble wrap open these days. But if you have one of these razor blades that I'll have a link in the description to Amazon, you can technically cut right through that paper right there. Look at that. A lot of people would be stifled. They'd have to call in a professional and have to wait for them to make an appointment to open their bubble wrap. But because I have one of these blades that I bought on Amazon, all right, so let's take a look here. First, World Bayonets, 1800 to the present. What do we got here? That's right. It's an AK bayonet. Type 1 and hardcover book. Let's see if I can open it up and see when it was made. Maybe. Looks like it says Cape Town. No, it says all over the place. 1984. And it was made in Australia, I guess, or South Africa. I don't know why. It says Australasia. What does that mean? Is this even from this planet? Is this a glitch book? Anyway, we'll, I guess we can look at more of this one. Right on the back page. That's cool. There you got your AK bayonets on the back. Actually, you've got a Tokarev bayonet here. This is a AK spike bayonet, and then you've got that AK type 1 and then a type 3. Pretty neat. And that's probably the only bayonets they're going to have, because the rest of it will be all the other ones. So it's a kind of an interesting book. It's just literally pictures, very down to the point. I like these kind of books where they're more like an identification guide. You know, like imagine walking around a gun show or something. Like you don't have to fart around with a bunch of writing in here. I mean, there's descriptions at the bottom, but this is a pretty handy kind of a field guide. That's what I would call this, a field guide to World Bayonets. It's pretty neat. It says an illustrated reference for guide for collectors. Well, there's a reason why I bought that, obviously, because there's some AK stuff in it. Small Arms Today from Edward Izell. And he wrote an AK book that was integral to everything, one of the first ones. This is a 1984 book from Stackpole, which I believe is the guy that there's the ones that wrote the other, Izell's other book. It was basically the first AK book in the West. What are we, the West? Yeah, whatever we are. And this one was made in Pennsylvania and then published. Oh, I guess it was both published in Pennsylvania and London. Oh, I see. All of these books. That's probably the same with that one. They're published in Pennsylvania, London, Melbourne, and Cape Town. So they're published in a bunch of different countries. But it says printed in USA. That's pretty neat. This is Small Arms. So one of the reasons I bought it is because it's Izell's book. Another reason is the price was a good price. And I figured it might have some AK stuff in it. But again, it's going to have, obviously, there's so many books like this that just mention all small arms that are going to mention the AK. But here we go. 1984 selection of 7.62 by 39 ammo. That's kind of interesting. Everything from a couple of 3 different blanks over here to some other kind of projectiles that I can't tell from a black and white picture. And it's mostly a bunch of data. It's kind of like almost like a Jane's guide or something. There's a lot of data. Holy moly, there's not very many pictures at all. So this is more for your nerds out there, your gun nerds. Oh, did I see something? I saw a picture, but I think it was old stuff. There's some neat things. There was, I think, a side of something. But there's a lot of knowledge in here. What would anybody need all this knowledge for? Maybe the CIA or somebody? Holy moly. So there's not very many pictures in here. Oh, you got a little hint there. I don't know if you've seen that. There was a little hint there. Well, that's nice. It's in Taiwan version of a 223. Oh, that's interesting. I've seen this picture a lot. I wonder if this is where it comes from. Probably not, but this is probably one of the first people to show that. All right, so I'll quit looking. I don't think I unfortunately didn't see much AK stuff in here. A little bit of 7.62x39 stuff. And then this is the next book. There's another surprise at the end here. You got a little hint of it there. You probably didn't see it, but there was a little hint of it there. All right, so this is the Defense Intelligence Agency Small Arms Identification and Operation Guide for Eurasian Communist Countries. Why doesn't it say the date on the front? 74, I think. Let's take a look. And if I do this, September 1973. So what did the United States Defense Intelligence Agency, today it would be called the War Intelligence Agency, what would they know in 1974 about the AK? Let's see. Oh, that's cool. What the hell is this? That's actually really neat. We'll talk about that in a second. This is obviously either intentionally or unintentionally on the model PPSH, the Soviet little burst gun. There's the AK chunk. So it looks like it's a manual, essentially. That was something else. So it kind of starts with a manual looking thing. Somebody with nail polish on? What's up with that? Kind of looks like a manual. And then shooting the grenades off of it. Those are Yugoslavian, so, or no, it says Polish grenade rifle, but is that a Polish gun? Polish, did they? Yeah, I guess they did make a couple of milled guns. This is actually some interesting pictures in this one. There's an AMD and then a Romanian, so this is all over the place. This is kind of neat. There's the bayonet, sweet, and we got right into your Czechoslovakian VZ58s. That's kind of neat, and it's almost like a manual, but as like I said, it's not really a carbon copy of a manual. So I wonder if they just kind of, what's that called when you? I don't know. It is probably verbatim from the manuals. Maybe it's military or U.S. military manuals that are themselves kind of retranslated or something. Sweet. Here's another one. RPK. That's awesome. So this is a lot of manuals, and since it's European communist, it's almost all AK shit. So I'm super happy to get this one. This one I didn't even know about, and it's not necessarily an AK book, but it's close enough to being an AK book that this one was one of the ones I was checking out. But did anybody see it? Anybody see it? Boom. These are from the library of Peter G. Kokalis. So I don't know if anybody knows who that is, but if you do, then that's pretty fucking significant. So that's pretty cool. I found this book and started thinking about if I was going to buy it or not. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't cheap. It was value. It was at the right price. But then these other ones were actually really cheap. And this one had an AK bayonet on the cover. And this is a manual. And it also has his library stamp. So I think that's pretty freaking neat. There's some actual really, really rare books that they've got. And I'm not sure, he passed away a couple of years ago now. So I'm not sure what the deal is. I'm going to probably contact him and find out if I can drive up, because these come from Phoenix area. Anyway, for people that know what's up, pretty neat. Not just new books for the library, but books from the Kokalis library. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you're having a great day. We had an amazing weekend. I hope you all did too. Have an amazing week. Go, you can grab your little puppies or kittens, grab them and give them a squeeze. All right. Have a great weekend, or a great week, I guess. It's Monday.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.